Alright, hi, Chef Yannick Albier here. Today we're going to cook halibut. We're going to do pan-seared halibut with a nice lemon beurre blanc sauce. Everything's ready, portioned out for you. So first we have some butter that we're going to use for our beurre blanc sauce. The white wine for the sauce. We have some lemons all cut for you. Here's some charred tomatoes here. And then we have our vegetables all prepped ready for you. Some fingerling potatoes and some asparagus. So that's going to be our veg. And then we have the star of the show, the fish. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our fish ready. So we have our salt and pepper here. So we're going to have our dirty hand and our clean hand. So let's pop this out. Okay, so we're going to season aggressively with salt and a little bit of pepper. Now, the classic French, they like to use white pepper on white fish to keep it clean, but I personally like the look of the black pepper on that. Okay. I'm going to use 3 pans. You could do this in just 2 pans by cooking the fish first and letting it sit on the side while you make the sauce, but I like to get it all going. And that way, in less than 10 minutes, we'll have all of this up and ready. So we have our pan, oil on the bottom. It's starting to smoke. That's what we're looking for. So we're going to get our fish in the pan there. So here's our fish. You see the 2 different sides. The ones that come in the V's like that, that's where the skin was. So that's not going to be our presentation side. This part here, the inside of the fish, is a beautiful presentation side. So we're going to get that side down first. Roll it around, shake it, and make sure it's not sticking. That's why we want it just slightly smoking. So we're going to let that sit on that side for probably about 3 minutes, and then we'll take a look at it. While that's going, we'll go ahead and get our veg going. Okay, so our veg, we have our pan hot and ready to go. So now that it's heated up, I'm going to turn it down a little bit. Same thing, we want a hot pan with oil in it so the potatoes and stuff don't stick to the bottom. Carefully get that in there. Give it some salt and pepper. We'll get that quick. So I'm going to wait to put my tomatoes in until later. So for now, we're just going to heat up that part of our veg. Now our fish over here. See, if we look on the side, right down there, it's starting to see some color. So before we even touch the fish, we can see that it's starting to nice and good. So I'm going to use a fish spat. This is my preferred tool. Tongs, spoon, really you can use anything, but this is the best for when you're cooking fish in a pan. Now say if this was a type of fish that we would keep the skin on, while it's like this, I would press down in the center. And by doing that, it's flattening the stick under the bottom, so it gets cooked consistently. So like especially important for a skin-on fish to get that crispy skin. But this one we don't need to as much. But it's still nice to do it a little bit. You just give it a little bit of pressure and flatten that out. So when we check our fish, golden brown. So at that point, I'm going to stick it in the oven exactly how it is. So a skin-on fish, I would cook skin side down 90% and then flip it for the last 10. A fish like this, I'll probably do about 70% on the first side, then flip it over to finish it. So get that in. We have our oven preheat at 350. So while the halibut's cooking, go back to our veg for a little bit. And I'll go ahead and add in my charred cherry tomatoes. These are tossed in olive oil, salt and pepper, and then charred on the grill. Give them a little flip. Okay, so now while my veg is cooking, that's almost done. We got the fish in the oven, so let's go ahead and start our beurre blanc sauce. So a beurre blanc sauce is a classic French sauce. Beurre, meaning butter, and blanc is white, is in the white wine. So another type of sauce is the rouge. The rouge meaning red, using red wine. So we're gonna start with our white wine. We have our pan already heated up, so as soon as we put this in, it'll start crackle up. So I want to reduce my wine. So I'll pick it up and move it around, and I'll calm it down. I like to start hot and then bring it down. And while that's reducing, you see the color starting to turn a little bit. Now I'm going to take one of my lemons, probably that one there. I'm going to squeeze that in there. Now we're going to let that lemon juice reduce a little bit with the white wine. So in the meantime, let's go ahead and flip our fish. So a halibut, these types of white fish, we want to cook it all the way through. Unlike salmon, where rare or medium rare is desired. So I'm going to flip that fish. It's got that nice color. It's got a nice hard shell on it. I'm going to get that back in the oven, and you can see how much is cooked here. So on the bottom, see there's already a little bit of white. You can see that transparency. That's telling you that it's not cooked yet. So we have our sauce, the wine is reduced. So here comes the tedious part. We're going to take our butter, and see it's cut into small knobs like this, because we're going to slowly add it piece by piece. You want to emulsify a wine sauce, a butter sauce like this, with cold butter into hot liquid. So as soon as I get it in, I'm going to start stirring it. We want to keep some heat on it, but you want to keep it moving or you're going to break that sauce. And a sauce like this uses a lot more butter than you would expect. So when that guy's about half melted, then I'll pop some more in. See, I like to use a small whisk for something like this, but anything would work, a spoon, anything. So I'm going to tilt it on the side so all the liquid comes down. And I'm just going to sit and whisk. And so you can see it's starting to pale in color and it's starting to thicken. You can visually see it starting to thicken. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit more butter, and at this time I'd probably want to season it with a little salt. Get our salt in there, and I'm going to put the rest of the butter. See that whole thing of butter for just this one little sauce. So as this butter is melting and I'm moving it, I'm emulsifying the fat of the butter with the wine. And you see, as we go, it gets thicker and thicker. So what we're looking for the final product is what we call a nappe consistency. That's when you stick a spoon in it, and when you draw a line over, it holds its form. I'll show you that soon. Just right till that last little knob melts, and then we're going to pull it off the heat completely. See, on something like this, you can go back and forth on the heat and babysit the temperature to make sure you're keeping it warm enough but not too hot. So the last bit is melted, so I'm going to pull that off to the side. Okay, so now we'll check it for the consistency. So like I said, so I'm going to take my spoon, draw it back, put my finger through it, and if it doesn't just bleed right together, you know that your sauce is good and good. So if you wanted to, you could add a little bit more butter to make it a little bit thicker, a little tighter, but I like my sauce about this consistency. Okay, so let's check our fish again. Okay, so So we see here that it's starting to sweat out. That's being cooked out. So that lets us know the internal temperature is getting warm inside. So we know we're looking close there. So on a fish like this, I want to touch it. I want it to be firm. So I'm touching it. It seems pretty firm. The center might need a little bit of time, but also see right here where it's starting to open up the sides. That's another indicator that the fish is getting cooked all the way through. As it cooks, it releases from itself. So when it's fully cooked, if you just pressed on it, all of those would just kind of tile out. So that's telling me between that and that sweat right there, that my fish is about ready. So what I'm gonna do now is the last little finish touch. It is lemon. I'm gonna pour that right over it. Let it kind of cook down and steam up through the fish. So that way we're not just getting a little lemon on top, it's actually gonna penetrate slightly. And you can do a little bit of basting. If you wanted to baste this fish with butter and herbs, you can do that to finish it. That's a really good way to finish it. A lot of times I don't need to do that as much. By not overcooking the fish, we kept so much flavor and juices inside that I'm not too worried about it, but it is a really nice way to finish your fish. Okay, so we have our fish is cooked, our veg is ready, and we have a sauce. So let's go ahead and plate. All right, so let's go ahead and start plating. So I'm gonna start with my veg first. Once again, you can plate this however you want. This is your chance to be creative. So I'm gonna get the potatoes and the asparagus down first. Use a spoon so I can gently pile it in the center. Good. Then I'm gonna take my tomatoes and just kind of put them around the side. You'll notice we have 5 tomatoes because in the world of plating, odd numbers rule supreme. Okay. So we have our fish. Now, so typically I would take this and I would just put it right on top, just like that. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to cut it in half to show you what the inside looks like. Oops, see how it's kind of falling apart? It's not a bad thing. Okay, so that fish is just a slightly transparent right there, which means we actually want to put it back in the pan for about a minute. Not too long at all. Just for about 45 seconds to a minute. And that's it. Okay, so we put it back on for 1 minute, and now we're looking beautiful. It's not overcooked and dry, but cooked through. And our last step here is our beurre blanc sauce. So I'm just going to get that all over all of that. Alright, then we have pan-seared halibut, fingerling potatoes, charred tomatoes, asparagus, and a nice lemon beurre blanc sauce.